Hello and welcome to Rosie's Preserving School, pressure canning, and we're bang on season today, processing pumpkins and squashes and everything in between. I've got some sweet potatoes here as well. I find them pumpkins slightly overwhelming, you know, because they're so tough to cut up and process, but needs must. We must do something with them, especially you know, when there's so many around. I did actually manage to grow some of the flat sort of custard ones this year, but I didn't manage to harvest them before all of the dreadful rainstorms, and they kind of slightly disappeared into a very sorry mess, I'm afraid. I just couldn't get to them. So, but there were only two. I've tried every year for I don't know how long, and I just don't think where we live is suitable because they just never ever come to anything. Anyway, Lidl came up trumps, and I've got quite a display here on the table. Colourful, different ones. Don't ask me what they are. I've no idea. I know what the sweet potatoes are and the butternut squash, but I expect they must all have names, but I am not going to refer to them. And they're all fairly small. And what I'm going to do, I'm not going to process all of these here today. I'm going to use a mix of them. And then what I prefer to do is to chop up the whatever it is, butternut squash or pumpkin, as far as I can into chunks and take out the seeds, and then roast them in the oven so that it softens the skins. And you can put other things in with garlic and onions if you want to, or you can just roast the flesh, leave the skin on. And then the next batch I'm going to do, because I've got quite a lot to do during the week, I'm going to try that. I haven't found it anywhere as an instruction, but you know, what's the worst? I'm going to then put all the other stuff in as I'm going to today, but just the softened pumpkin and everything in the jar. I won't bother to cut it up much more than when it's roasted, because when I'm going to use it, I should use a stick blender and make it smooth anyway. So I'm all for sort of cutting out as much work as possible. And with my poorly hand, I can't these days really chop huge things effectively. I have to get Trev to do them for me. Not that he minds, but we don't always coordinate. He's not always around when I've got time to do this sort of thing. So I'm going to do what I can. I will leave you to do whatever you've got to process, and we'll go through the sort of general method. Now, I went the other day to a friend that I've got to know through all of this. She bought a pressure canner from us, and then she's going great gun. She's trying out all different things, and she wanted me to go and do some filming with her. And her name's Vanessa Kimball, and she runs the sourdough school, which you'll find online. It was the first sourdough school, and just as I'm the first preserving school, she's been doing it for quite a long time. She's very professional, and it's a very big thing. She's got lots and lots of students and lots of strings to her bow. We went there to cook together, and she showed me what she'd had done, and I've adapted it for us because I think it works. It's not quite like the recipe that I've given, because I saw her after I'd written all of that and posted it, and it was all online and everything. It's not far off. And now I'm going to amend it again if I do the roasted pumpkin method, but I'll update you on that. I mean, it may not work, it might not be, you know, very nice, but so another customer was telling me online the other day in a discussion that she grows the Turk's Crown squashes or pumpkins, and they're partly orange, I think, and partly sort of blue, the sort of blue pumpkin skin. And she said the blue pumpkin skin is very bitter if you roast it. So you have to remove that before you cook the flesh, which I didn't know. So I am passing that on as well, because I've never seen that written down anywhere or mentioned. Okay, so I've got 6 jars. I've got a mixture of beans. I put them all in a bowl, and then I've got them in this bottle that hasn't got a lid on it, so that I can easily pour them into the jars. And I'll probably do that by weight. And then I've got my stock. I've got tinned tomatoes. You could use your own tinned tomato, or jarred potato, not potatoes, tomatoes, or passata. That's what I was trying to get to. I was trying to say it together. Or I've got some boxes of passata as well, which I bought for a project and didn't use all of them, so I might put some of that in as well. Whatever tomato-y you want to put in. I've got garlic, I've got onion, and some spices. Now you do need some flavor with pumpkin, I think. I won't say I'm not a fan, but I'm certainly not a fan of it being sweet. I don't go down that road at all. And as with parsnips, I find making parsnip soup with a curry flavor base is very successful. And I'm going to put some cumin into this today, and paprika and things like that. You could also, if you've got things like dried chili flakes or a fresh chili, if you've got one, you could have put a few slices in each jar if you prefer. It's entirely kind of fluid without sort of a pun appearing. You can put in what flavoring you like and what mix you like. So let's see, let's start by putting the beans in. So I'm going to, although these are big jars, there's also a lot of, these are 750 ml, there are a lot of other things going in, and really the pumpkin is a star. The beans are there for when that's processed to help thicken the soup. I'm hoping it'll be quite thick with the beans and the pumpkin, and I can water it down by adding some more stock when I reheat it. This is a kind of base soup that I'm going to take into work for us all to have at lunchtime. So the more I can make of it, the better. So I'm just going to get my scale. I'm not going to put more than 100 grams in, because otherwise they'll swell up and take up all the room when it's being processed. As I normally, these smaller beans, I would put 135 grams into a 500 ml jar, so I don't want as much as that. They're just covering the base of the jar, really. They're in first. Hope I'm going to have enough. So I just put any old mix of beans, whatever you've got. There's 4 varieties in here, but they're all of a similar size so that they cook evenly. And it's as well to keep a jar of mixed beans, I think. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's good. That's those done. I've got half a big onion in here to use up, which I'm going to mainly because I thought I'll take that half an onion and another one, and that will be plenty, and I completely forgot to take the other one, so this will have to be enough. But if you've got things like leeks, you could put leeks in. You know, any of the sort of vegetables that we've done that is suitable, that matches the timing and everything for the beans. It's very versatile. But I'm sure you're realizing that now from the canning you're doing on your own. Right. I'm not going to worry about everything being super small. I am going to cut it evenly because of cooking timings, but you don't need it all sort of fine, because unless you want to have a chunky soup and not process it, in which case you still make it evenly sized but bigger. So I'm just going to slice this up as best I can because it's already cut. Right, now I'm going to hopefully put equal amounts of onion in, literally as much as I can pick up with my fingers, just to start with. I'm not weighing it. Put some in each, and then I can go around again if necessary. Right, now where's my garlic gone? The garlic, the recipe says finely chopped. Well, I'm not going to do that. Vanessa, that showed me her method of doing this, is a very busy lady like me. And she said, oh no, don't take time chopping. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Seven, 8, 9, oh, it's 11. So we'll put, so I'm just going to take the papery skin off the clove. And drop it in the jar. And then it will cook down and soften and flavor everything. And then when I use the stick blender, it will get chopped up as well. So I can put 2 in each jar except for 1, because I've got 11 cloves. Which will save a lot of time. Two. And if you're using this method to make like a not a pumpkin soup, you know, like the potato soups and things like that, you can put sprigs of fresh herbs in as well, in this way, just to add flavour, and then it will get blitzed. One. Got where I've got to now. That's got to, this needs the last one then. And what I'll do is take out one of these really big ones from here and give that one, and then put another little one in there. Even it up a bit. That one. Good. Get rid of the bits. We'll start on the pumpkin. Now then, I think what I'm going to do is use some of the sweet potato, because that's easy for me to peel here. And I'll try that one, I think, and see how I get on. So what I need is my big knife. I'm going to take the base off, I think, just so it sits more. I don't know what the best way to cut this, whether it's down these ribs, just to get it in half. Once you get into them, they kind of are easier to manage. It's just these initial starting cuts. There we go. Now, I'm not here going to save the seeds. My chickens won't eat them. And cooked or uncooked, whether I roast them or not. So I'm just going to scoop them out. Cutting that off again. That's all the seeds, that's good. And cut them down again. Okay, they're fairly even. Now I'm not sure how tough this is going to be to peel. Oh, it's not too bad. Lovely mottled, I call it rind, this one. It's got sort of green and yellow and then orange patches on it, which is rather nice. You see, the thinner you cut them, the easier it is to take the peel off in one go, a bit like when I do apples, how I've shown you to do apples. So you don't get all these little bits. Much more efficient. And chop these in half again if I can. Looks like a lizard, this skin. Right, just a few more to do. and just this one and that one. So the next part of the process will be to cut these into as even size chunks as you can, so that it cooks evenly, and it also fits in the jar. You don't want it all so chunky that it takes up too much room. Oh, good. Actually made quite a lot, so I may not need sweet potato on this occasion. It will get used, as we're going to need lots of soup for the winter. So and there's nothing quite as cold as a warehouse in winter. When we're all working there, it's jolly cold. So you need something to warm you up. I want to start putting some of this in the jars because I'm running out of chopping room. So just going to put it in. Again, I'm going to even it out so every jar has roughly the same. Oh, dropping it all over the table. Right. A great thing with oven roasting things like butternut squash, you don't have to peel them. The skin becomes really, really soft and you can use all of it. So that's another reason for doing it like that, I think. less waste. Right, 2 more to, haven't got any yet. Those in. And now I'll just top up with these bits as far as it will go. Now we don't want to fill the jars too high because the beans are going to swell up and they need room to do that. So you need room to put enough liquid so that they don't end up all sort of dry at the top. So don't worry that we're not filling the jars up to the headspace with pumpkin. Right, that's that. Now, I don't think I'm going to need anything else. I'll put my sweet potatoes back in my montage. And then I've got my tin tomatoes that I'm using. Again, I've had them in the cupboard at least a year, if not longer. So I'm using them because I want to use them up and rotate. You know, I don't want to leave things so they get too old. Oh, so I'm going to spoon some in on into each jar. Again, it doesn't need to be mixed in or spread out, or just needs to be even. So I'll go around with the jar until it's empty. I'll put the juice in as well. And then I'll do the other 10. And this is all liquid that will help with the beans as well. And flavour, of course. Now, if I was doing this at home, I would rinse that jar out with the stock and make sure I got all the tomato out. But as with all filmed cooking, you don't end up doing what you would do at home. And again. Good. So now we can top up with our stock, and I'm going to put the herbs that I've got, spices, in the stock as well, just so it gets sort of distributed through the through all of the jars. So we've got cumin, a tablespoonful, so that's about half of that I've got here in each. Refill my cumin jar. Ground cinnamon, 1 teaspoon, so that I will be putting that. I've got 2 jugs here. I'll put half a teaspoon in each one. Paprika, 4 teaspoons, so that will be 2 in each. That's going to help bolster that lovely goldeny orangey colour. There we are. So garlic, cumin, cinnamon, salt, paprika, stock, beans, pumpkin, tomatoes. We've got everything in. I'm not putting salt in because I'm using my salt-based vegetable stock paste that you know I've done before. So I'm not going to add more salt. It would just be too much. I'm going to try and stir these spices in a bit. I doubt that they'll go in completely, especially the cinnamon. I'm going to use my funnel and my ladle because no modern jugs seem to pour very well. I've no idea why. I think if all I had to do was manufacture jugs, I'd make sure they did what they're supposed to. But I'm going around with a couple of ladlefuls for each to start with. It's like teapots, same thing. You buy a teapot, it never pours without dribbling everywhere. Hear it gurgling all down through all the layers. These two need that first go. See if I can pour these. It's going to get just some plain water to finish topping up. plenty of flavour in there, so good. Next, debubbling. I'm not going to stir it all up. I'm just going to poke the debubbler down into it so that the stock gets down to the bottom through all the layers, and then I'll see if the headspace needs adjusting at all. Because the more liquid we can get in, the better with the beans in there, to be honest. So get the air out, the level often drops because the liquid goes where the air was. Right, a bit more water. If you want to use homemade stock like chicken stock or meat stock that you've made, that's perfectly fine. I tend to demonstrate, the plainer version just because of all the diets and so on out there, all the different requirements. But if you use a homemade meat-based stock, it will give it that much more sort of depth of flavour. But it's entirely up to you. Right, let's get wiping and sealing. They look tasty already. So I'm quite looking forward to these. I've got my vinegar here. I'm going to go around the rims because I know I sploshed the tomatoes a bit, even though I used the funnel. Right, that's that. And the lids, the seals. Oh, come on. So there's one filled. I mean, they really look wholesome, don't they? And ready for a cold winter's day. I always go the wrong way with these. So put that one in the canner. I've got it on warm. I'll turn the heat up now to get some heat going as we're nearly there. And if you've got sort of, I don't know, I don't want to say faddy or fussy, but if you've got children that, you don't think will eat pumpkin soup, then, just call it a vegetable soup or something, or bean soup, and don't go there. Just I think if you had it, you could have it as a big soup for a meal, you know, for supper with some garlic bread or something, or flatbreads. It would be absolutely lovely and tasty and nourishing. Right, that's 4 or 6 in, and the vinegar. Oop, realize. Right, canner lid. Twist it round, twist the whole thing round, otherwise you won't even see the gauge. It's all right. Still on the plate, needs to come over this way a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to have a bit of a wipe down and clean up, and when it's venting I will come back, and what I'm going to do is go through pumpkins really with you, and then once it's up to pressure and we're timing, you, if you want to, you don't need to come back later. I will film the end of when we open the canner, but if you know are busy or want to get on, then come back if you want to, but you know, it's up to you. So I'll see you in a few minutes once we're venting, and then we'll take it from there. Sorry, Trev's not doing very well, but he's not very right. I'm about halfway through venting, and I just wanted to show you 1 or 2 other pumpkin things which you may be aware of, but I wasn't. So I'll crash on, and hopefully it will be of some interest. I was looking around at pumpkin things, and I thought it's a shame about all the seeds, because there must be millions of seeds that don't get processed and roasted and eaten as pumpkin seeds. And sure enough, there are. And this is pumpkin seed flour, and I'll show you it first. It's a rather alarming shade of green. You can see that there, and then I'll read you what it says on the, not on the tin, but on the packet. And it's defatted. Now, who knew that pumpkin seeds had anything fatty about them? But anyway, and that's all that's in there is ground pumpkin seed, and it's a vegan protein powder. And where does it say? They're low in carbohydrates, rich in vegan protein, vitamins, minerals, and fiber, and suit any common healthy diet. They're perfect gluten-free substitute for wheat flour in different proportions. So it says 0 waste because they processed the seeds and that's it. They're vegan, gluten-free, and 100% natural. I haven't managed to get into how you would use them, what proportions and so on, but I thought it was interesting to find that something was actually done with the seeds. Similarly, this is organic pumpkin powder. So this is made from the actual flesh of the pumpkin, not just the seeds. And this is a nice golden colour there. And you can add that to anything where you want to get nutrition into somebody, like a shake. It's got no added salt. Blend this in your delicious smoothies, breakfast bowls, juices, shakes, or just with warm water. I wouldn't guarantee you could get a glass of warm water with this into a 5-year-old, but you might get it into something else, like a spaghetti sauce or something like that, or pasta itself. You could work it in just to get, you know, I know how difficult it is sometimes to get, especially youngsters, to eat enough fruit and veg. So it's got all the nutritional values on there. And it's just organic pumpkin powder as opposed to flour. So that's those two which surprised me. And then there's pumpkin seed oil, which is organic, cold pressed, containing essential fatty acids, adds a nutty flavor to things like salad dressings. So I just unopen this yet. See, oh, I was expecting it to be golden. And it looks more like maple syrup, doesn't it? That sort of colour. Don't know if it smells of anything. No, just a sort of vegetable-y smell. So that's 3 products made from pumpkins. Let me just check the canner's hissing. And then there's only 30 seconds to go, and I'm going to put more weight on, and then I'll come back to the rest of the things. Right, I'm going to wait here. Right, let's put those weights in, and then we'll leave it to get up to pressure. Now this is a jar here of, I called it swede nut. It's basically swede and butternut squash. I found butternut squash on its own pressure canned was a bit squishy, but this is okay. It's sort of half and half mix of swede and butternut squash. So if you like sort of mashed swede in the winter with winter dinners, it's there in the jar with the butternut squash, and you can just warm it through and then mash it as you would do normally. So that's another, that's just plain, that's just in salted water. And I know Trisha reminded me of the edition of Simply Preserved magazine, which is online. You can read it digitally in the Love Jars website. And there was a pumpkin one which I wrote extensively about pumpkins and how to store them. And then there's lots of recipes in there. I'll try and get the shine off the page, which you can note down from the website. So lots of ideas, which there's things like pumpkin chutney, pumpkin preserve, pickle, pumpkin marmalade, a cake, all kinds of things. So that's one to look at that's there from a previous year. And there, I was reading one of the pressure canning Facebook pages today, this morning. There we are. And the lady she had a picture of the pumpkins that she'd got. She said, "This is my haul from the pumpkin farm." She said, "We had a lovely day there yesterday because they do a pumpkin smash. And they built a maze, they had games for the children, all sorts of things, and a toasty bar where you could get toasted sandwiches and all this kind of thing." And she said, and then the day is rounded off. You're allowed to take as many pumpkins as you want for nothing. And she said the rest, everybody takes cricket bats or baseball bats. She said we took a meat tenderizer and I forget the other thing she took. and we just smash them up, and the kids love it. And I can sort of feel this, and the farmer just plows it all in, and I just think this is just not the thing you want to be encouraging. Well, I wouldn't. In this country, there are 10 to 15 million pumpkins grown each year for Halloween, it has to be said, which is staggering in itself. And 95% of them are, they go to landfill, or they get, you know, into compost heaps because they're used for carving. Perfectly good pumpkins, edible pumpkins, 95% of 15 million. And I was reading all the stats online, and 5% are eaten. Some go for animal feed, but they're the ones that are sort of grotty and not saleable. Sainsbury's, in the week before Halloween, sell 1 million pumpkins in 1 week across all of their stores. And that's just Sainsbury's. There's all the other supermarkets as well. And I think to sort of, it's a personal opinion, but I think to teach children to bash pumpkins with a cricket bat is just horrific. I did say my piece in the Post, and she said I was only putting a picture of what my haul of pumpkins I'd got for nothing. And I said, I know, but you know, when you think Halloween has become, well, it is the second biggest festival in our calendar now. And why? Why do we need this diversion every year? We don't lead the sort of lives that the pagans lived, who did think that it was worthwhile staving off evil spirits and so on with a carved effigy out of a Swede. I mean, you could see the point then. They didn't know any different. They didn't have anything else. It was dark, it was cold, and it was, you know, it was a good diversion, I suppose. But we don't need that in our lives. And the energy waste in growing the pumpkins, the farmer growing them, watering them, harvesting them, delivering them, the logistics of delivering them all over the country, just for them to be spoiled like that, I just find incomprehensible. And we haven't even got onto the plastic rubbish that goes on sale, that is produced in another country halfway around the world, that is largely responsible for the emissions that are causing climate change, to feed us black and orange plastic rubbish for a festival that doesn't, nobody would really be able to say what it was about, really, in the modern age. Not many people. And all that energy of producing it and then transporting it, not just one container ship, but probably hundreds of container ships full of all this stuff that we then go and buy. And I find it difficult to, I don't know, forgive it, if you like, because at work in our business with the glass and delivering the glass and everything else, we try really hard now not to have anything that is not recyclable at the very minimum. And I was challenged the other day because I had sent a free gift in a lady's order that was in a cellophane bag. Well, cellophane bags are made of cellulose, so they are sustainable. But she said that we shouldn't be using plastic bags in our, you know, and sent them back. And I'm just sort of, okay. But I got in touch with the people that we buy their bags, all our bags from, and they said, well, there is a biodegradable version that you can have. So we've switched to that, you know, and that's it. There's nowhere else to go with sort of plastic bags. But we worked so hard to do all of that and get challenged by customers who then are probably out there destroying perfectly good food and buying plastic decorations. And I know it, you know, this is, I just point out that for these to be grown from the seeds, the work that's gone into it, and the state that we're in with food poverty and just about everything, we need to be doing better. We need to be trying much, much harder to solve these problems, because we're creating the mess that we're living in, and there's no need for it. All of this, we could cut down on anything to do with Halloween by at least 2/3. I think we wouldn't even notice the difference. Most, it's just not necessary. And by all means, if you've got excess pumpkins that you haven't been able to sell, make sure they're put to use. But if I'd grown all that as a farmer, how could I? Okay, I've charged people to come in for the day, and it's all great. It's money coming in, but to then watch it smashed like that, I just don't understand it. And but I try not to be too judgmental. But I think the whole thing around pumpkins is really, really needs some hard thought, I think, about what we do and how we do it. But it's not quite up to pressure yet, but it will be, and I'll be putting the timer on. I hope that you're going to enjoy your pumpkin soup when it comes out of the jar. And I know Trisha's the queen of pumpkin soup this year, and I hope it's sort of a version that you like. And I'm not sort of ranting about pumpkins, but I just wish you people would consider a bit more what the consequence of all this is, because we've all got to start to make a difference, I think. So pumpkin soup it is. Okay, I'll be back later. It's going to be, what is it now? Nearly 4:30. 5, 4:30, 5:30. I'll be switching off. I'll be emptying the canner about 6 o'clock. If you do want to come back in, we'll just be filming them coming out of the canner. But if you otherwise busy, I understand, and I'll see you next time. All right, the canner is depressurized, so I can open it up, and I'll just get my trusty towel there. I'll take the jiggler weight off. Can't remember the name of it, and it's all turned off. That down there to cool off. Let's see what we've got. Beans look all nice and plumped up. One out. Try this one. That's better. Still bubbling, of course. I'll show you one in a moment. I'll just get them all out. I was going to try today, actually, bringing a jar of soup that I've got made and the stick blender to see if I could blend it in the jar before I heated it up. But in the end of the day, I thought it was probably not the sort of thing I need to practice on camera. So knowing my propensity for wearing the food I'm cooking, I decided not to. But I will give it a go, because I'm not fond of using a microwave to heat things up, but if you could blend it in the jar, you could actually heat it up in a microwave at work or something, if you needed to, rather than sort of wander the planet with saucepans and goodness knows what, you know, it might sort of be an easy way. But if I don't know if I can hold it like that long enough for you to see, all looking very nice and beany, and they've all nicely cooked. So another 6 meals on the shelf. Happy days. So I think next time we are doing fruit, as in sort of pie fillings and things. So any kind of fruit that you've got that you want to process, you know, we can do that. We'll probably end up water bathing most of it, not doing it under pressure, because there isn't really fruit that needs to be pressure canned. So you know, it will be a kind of a going off down a side road a bit, but the canner is ideal for using for water bathing because it's nice and big and will take lots of jars at the same time. So okay, I'll see you in I think it's 2 weeks, because we haven't got a funny month or anything. I'll see you in a couple of weeks' time.